穿诸事继承袜，服从根起，好运一生。
Recently, Israel and Hamas restarted indirect negotiations on a ceasefire in Gaza in Doha, the capital of Qatar. Hamas said the focus of the negotiations is to reach a comprehensive ceasefire agreement, allow Israeli troops to withdraw from the Gaza Strip, determine the implementation details, and allow displaced people in the Gaza Strip to return to their homes. Israel and Hamas have previously accused each other of obstructing the ceasefire negotiations, resulting in delays in reaching an agreement. Since the conflict between Israel and Hamas broke out in October 2023, it has caused the displacement of almost all of the 2.3 million people in the Gaza Strip, triggering a serious humanitarian crisis. This issue of hot events will sort out this negotiation. On January 11, Israel's military strike on the Gaza Strip killed at least 22 people. Among them, one airstrike killed at least 10 people in a multi-story house in the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood of Gaza City, and another airstrike killed 5 people in the nearby suburb of Zaytown. On January 14, the United States stated that Israel and Hamas were about to finalize a ceasefire and hostage release agreement. Sources familiar with the Doha negotiations revealed that in the latest round of negotiations in Qatar, Israel and Hamas made significant progress on the remaining differences. The current agreement reached by the two sides includes the release of 33 hostages in the first phase of the ceasefire, including women and children, men over 50 years old, and the injured and infirm. On the 16th day of the ceasefire, the two sides began negotiations to ensure the release of military personnel of appropriate age and the return of the hostages' remains. Israel will also withdraw its troops in phases, but will still be stationed in the border areas to protect towns and villages on the border with Israel. On January 15, Qatari Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Mohammed announced in Doha, the capital of Qatar, that the joint mediation efforts of Qatar, Egypt, and the United States had been successful. All parties to the Gaza conflict reached an agreement on a ceasefire and exchange of detainees. The ceasefire agreement will be implemented in 3 phases. On January 19, the ceasefire and personnel exchange agreement in the Gaza Strip came into effect, and Israel announced that it would release 737 Palestinians imprisoned in the first phase of the implementation of the agreement. Prior to this, the Israeli Security Cabinet voted to adopt the ceasefire agreement. In the vote, several ministers in the ruling coalition led by Netanyahu voted against it, but the agreement was ultimately passed by an overwhelming majority and submitted to the plenary meeting of the Israeli cabinet. Subsequently, the plenary meeting of the Israeli cabinet approved the Gaza ceasefire agreement. Analysts believe that the scale of casualties caused by this round of Palestinian-Israeli conflict exceeds that of previous Middle East wars. Anti-war sentiment in Israel and pressure from international public opinion continue to rise, but Israel has never been able to achieve its goal of completely eliminating the power of Hamas. However, Israel has severely weakened the internal structure and external support of the armed forces in the Gaza Strip by successively clearing out the leaders of Hamas and Lebanese Hezbollah, and its strategic goals have been achieved to a certain extent. Driven by public demand and international efforts to promote peace talks, both parties to the conflict finally made concessions. Despite this, the current chaos in the Middle East has evolved into a conflict involving many countries in the region. Additionally, Palestine and Israel still face fundamental conflicts over core issues such as the status of Jerusalem and the expansion of Jewish settlements in the West Bank. Whether the ceasefire agreement can be fully implemented and lead to long-term peace remains highly uncertain and faces many challenges.